Okay, if you've got a basement, you know this story. You see those ugly black spots starting to creep up the wall. So you grab the cleaner, you scrub, you bleach, and for a little while you think you've won. But then, sure enough, a few weeks or months later, it's back. So what is going on here? Why does this feel like a battle you just can't win? Well, let's get to the bottom of it.
So really, what gives? How can something you clean so well just reappear? Well, here's the thing. It's not about how well you clean. It's about what you're actually fighting. We've all been trained to attack the symptom, the ugly spots, but we've been completely ignoring the real disease.
And this quote right here, this is the absolute key to everything. That visible mold you keep scrubbing away, that is just the tip of the iceberg. The real problem, the huge, massive part of the iceberg hidden under the water, is the moisture that's feeding it, and you can't get rid of that with a sponge and some elbow grease.
So, if the mold is just the messenger, who's the real villain in this story? It's time to pull back the curtain and meet the actual culprit behind your endless weekend cleaning cycle.
It really is this simple. It's moisture. Just think of mold like a plant. Your basement provides the perfect dark, cool soil for it to grow in, but without a steady supply of water, it's got nothing. So if you see mold making a comeback, you don't have a cleaning problem, you have a water problem.
So where's all this water coming from? Well, it can seep in through tiny hairline cracks in your foundation, or maybe around leaky basement windows, or from pipes that aren't sealed up right. But a huge source, and one a lot of us overlook, is simple condensation. You know how a cold glass of iced tea gets all wet on the outside on a hot day? Your cool basement walls are doing the exact same thing every time warm, humid air gets down there. And here's where the problem gets really sneaky. The very materials your basement is made of are part of the problem. We think of concrete or drywall as being solid, right? But on a microscopic level, they're porous. They're basically like a hard sponge. They soak up moisture and just hold it deep inside, staying damp for weeks, even when the surface feels totally dry to the touch. This creates the perfect hidden breeding ground for mold to live in.
Okay, so now we get it. The real enemy is moisture, and it's hiding inside the walls. With that in mind, let's take a look at why our favorite go-to cleaning methods are pretty much doomed from the start.
First thing we all do is grab the bleach, right? It's the classic move. But here's the reality check. Bleach is fine on a non-porous surface, like a shower tile, but on drywall or concrete, it only kills the mold on the very surface. And here's the crazy part. The main ingredient in household bleach is water. So that water soaks right into the porous wall and feeds the mold's roots hiding inside. You're not just failing to solve the problem, you might actually be making it worse.
All right, so the next tempting fix is just to paint over it. Out of sight, out of mind. The thing is, the mold doesn't care about a fresh coat of paint. As long as that wall is still damp underneath, the mold is just going to keep growing and thriving behind that new paint, and eventually it'll just push its way right back through. It's a mask, not a cure.
Now this one is huge. A dehumidifier is a fantastic tool, don't get me wrong, but it's not a magic wand. It does a great job of pulling moisture out of the air, but it does absolutely nothing to stop more water from getting in through that crack in the foundation. It is exactly like mopping a floor as fast as you can while completely ignoring the leaky pipe that's causing the puddle in the first place.
All right, enough about what doesn't work. Let's talk about what does. It's time to look at the professional approach that gets rid of not just the mold, but its entire life support system, for good.
You know, it's a pretty simple but absolutely crucial four-step process. First, you have to inspect and find where the moisture is coming from. Then, you safely remove the existing mold and treat the surface. Next, and this is the real game changer, you seal and waterproof the source. And finally, you improve the airflow to create an environment where mold just can't come back. See the logic? Find it, treat it, block it, and then prevent it.
Let's zero in on that crucial third step, sealing. This is the part that actually fixes the problem. We're talking about finding every little crack in the foundation, every gap around a window or a pipe, and creating a physical, waterproof barrier. This is the step that turns off the water supply to the mold. And the principle is simple. If no more water can get in, no more mold can grow. End of story.
So, once the source is sealed up and the mold is finally gone, the job changes. It's no longer about repair, it's about prevention. Your new goal is just to maintain a dry environment where mold can't get a foothold ever again. And it's really important to stay on top of this because the stakes are pretty high. This isn't just about an ugly spot on the wall. Mold can trigger some serious health issues like allergies and asthma. It literally eats away at the structure of your home, the wood, the drywall, and of course, it is a massive red flag for any home inspector, which can seriously hurt your home's value.
Here is a simple, actionable number you can just lock into your brain. You want to keep the humidity in your basement below 55%. That seems to be the magic number, the threshold where it becomes much harder for mold to get started. A good dehumidifier with a built-in sensor makes managing this incredibly easy.
So here it is, your long-term game plan. Keep that dehumidifier running and set it to stay under 55%. Every few months, just do a quick walk around and look at the seals around your windows and pipes. Get a fan going down there once in a while to move the air around. And if you ever spot a tiny leak, fix it right away. This is your defense plan, and a few minutes of prevention can save you from ever having to fight that battle again.
And that really brings us to the final, most important question you have to ask yourself. After everything we've looked at, it's pretty clear that just scrubbing the surface is only a temporary fix. So is your basement just clean, or is it truly dry? Because, as we now know, a dry basement is the only kind of basement that's truly mold-free.